Hello everyone and welcome to another video by Liminal Spaces. Just wanted to do a quick channel update today. I know these are usually done by Friday and it's Sunday and probably a little late on Sunday, but it has been a very busy couple of weeks, so I'm just trying to catch up. Let's start with some sci-fi, fantasy, horror news, and we'll start with sci-fi. Last Dangerous Visions, which is an anthology that Harlan Ellison had planned for many years of his life but never published, is going to get its first release this year. And that will be October 1st of 2024. I'm very excited about that. Dangerous Visions is interesting for me because I feel like Harlan Ellison was pushing his writers in the anthology to break through barriers, to do new things. And sometimes I think that can fall a little bit on the side of shock, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. There's a lot of fiction that is out there that is made just to shock. That's the point of it. And not all of the stories in Dangerous Visions are like that. I just think that sometimes writers fell towards that. But it is one of the most important anthologies in science fiction all the way around. And of course, he followed that up with, again, Dangerous Visions. And now we're finally getting this last one. It seems like there's actually quite a bit of drama surrounding this release. A lot of writers were really angry at Ellison, and I don't know the whole story, but I'm looking forward to this release. I think it'll be really fun to see this final book in the collection. Also in science fiction news, Jay Rubin is going to do a new translation of Haruki Murakami's Hardboiled Wonderland and the End of the World. Now, Hardboiled Wonderland and the End of the World in the original Alfred Birnbaum translation is the first time I ever read it, and I absolutely loved it. But I am interested in looking forward to seeing what a different translation take on this book will be like. And this is going to come out on September 17th of this year of 2024. One of the, I think, the most brilliant things that Alfred Birnbaum did in trying to translate this novel is tackling a uniquely Japanese problem, not even problem, issue in translation. Murakami differentiated between the two narrators and the alternating chapters of Hardboiled Wonderland and the End of the World by having one use the pronoun watashi for I, and the other one use the pronoun boku for I. So these are just two different ways to say I, but they have different voices. And I'm not going to go deep into that. But what Alfred Birnbaum did that I think was really brilliant is he alternated the two chapters between present tense and past tense, because we don't have a similar way to express these different ways that the narrators refer to themselves in English. But I feel like the shifting in tense really was a cool way to take care of that. And I'm interested to see if Rubin keeps that or how Rubin deals with this interesting, very uniquely Japanese way of shifting between the chapters. Also on a Reddit post, and I cannot find proof of this, but somebody on the Reddit post said that Alfred Birnbaum left out passages or entire scenes out of Hardboiled Wonderland and the End of the World. And I know for a fact that Jay Rubin left out full scenes of the Wind-Up Bird Chronicle, but I've never seen anything about scenes being missing from Hardboiled Wonderland and the End of the World. So I'm interested to see that. I've read Birnbaum's translation enough that when reading Rubin's, I'll be able to tell if there's new stuff. So I'm sure I'll read that right when I get it and report back here, just to let you guys know the differences between those two translations. He probably is releasing this in preparation for his November release date for The City and Its Uncertain Walls in English, which is inspired from a novella that also inspired the End of the World section of Hardboiled Wonderland and the End of the World. Anyway, I'm looking forward to that. It's a really cool news, and we'll see how that new translation is. On to horror news, and I do just want to quickly say that if my brother and I lived in the same state, this part he would do if we did the updates together, but it's just too difficult to send the videos over and try to have both of us do this. But Jason does all the research on these horror movies, and I really appreciate it. We both love horror movies, but he's the one that's been finding most of these horror movie trailers and sending them my way. And we got a couple of interesting horror movies coming up. The one I'm most excited about is there's a new version of Nosferatu coming out, and it's directed by Robert Eggers, who is the one that did The Witch and The Lighthouse. And I really loved The Witch. I haven't seen The Lighthouse yet, but I am very much looking forward to this new interpretation of Nosferatu. That comes out December 25th. July looks to be a good month for horror. There's a movie coming out on the 12th of July called The Inheritance. Look at this trailer. It's very strange. At first, it seems kind of like a murder whodunit as you're watching the trailer, but then it turns out it's an intense ghost story. The synopsis that from what I can get from the trailer is there's an old billionaire that has brought down some kind of curse on himself, and somebody wants to assassinate him, but they're using some kind of ghost to do it. And he's invited all of his kids and says, if I don't live through the night, if you guys don't protect me, then you don't get your inheritance. Looks really wild. Could be a lot of fun. And that comes out on the 12th. The week after that, on the 19th, there's a movie coming out called Odity. And this just looks like a wild, weird, artsy ghost story. I'm very excited about this one. I can't really give much of a synopsis. You'll have to give the trailer a watch to figure out what's going on with this one, but it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. Then the week after that, we get, and this is July 26th, we get The Beast Within, a werewolf movie. And man, I loved werewolf movies in the 80s. I loved The Howling. I loved Company of Wolves was one of my favorite horror movies. And I loved werewolf stories. They were wonderful. Such a cool monster. And I think Werewolves Within, if I'm saying the name of that movie right, is kind of the last werewolf movie we got, and it was a horror comedy, which I actually very much enjoyed. But this one looks like it's going to take it very, very serious, and it looks really, really interesting. So I'm looking forward to seeing another werewolf movie. Next, we'll do a quick channel update. As of this morning, we have 14,823 subscribers. It's about 700 or 800 from last week. For those of you that are new, welcome aboard and thank you so much for subscribing. And for those of you that have been watching the whole time, thank you very much. Next week, Jason is going to be watching and talking about the new Star Wars show, The Acolyte. He's not a huge Star Wars fan. We have a tendency to lean towards Star Trek, both my brother and I. But he does like watching the Star Wars TV shows when they come out, and he's going to be talking about The Acolyte next week, so that should be fun. He's also going to read the next story in his Philip K. Dick collection. Unfortunately, I don't have the book, and I'm not able to reach him right now, so I can't figure out what the next story in Paycheck and Other Stories is. But it is the one that's right after The Variable Man, so that's what he'll be doing next week. I was hoping this coming week would be Claw of the Conciliator week, and unfortunately it can't be. I'm still reading through that. I'm really taking my time on it because I want to be able to talk about it. Also, I'm very excited to chat about it with Virgil from Literally Books, and this last 2 weeks have been with my daughter's dental surgery and everything have been insane, and finding time to set that up has been impossible. So next week, I don't know what I'm going to do. It's going to be a surprise. I'm going to look over here on my shelves and grab probably a couple of short stories, maybe a novella and a short story, and do those while I'm finishing up The Claw of the Conciliator by Gene Wolfe. So we're going to have to put that off a week. And next week will be a surprise because I don't know what I'm going to do yet. So look forward to something new next week. A couple of things I wanted to talk about. Jason did the Lathe of Heaven, the PBS movie, last week. And we weren't able to really talk about it before he did the movie, but from what it sounds like to me, from his description of the plot, I believe that PBS movie almost follows the novel exactly. And I spoke with him a little bit, and please note that it's been months since I read this novel, and I've read a lot in between. But Jason was a little bit unhappy that to him it seemed like the film ended as all a dream, and I spoke with him and discussed that I don't think that's actually how the book or even the film was ending. The movie and the novel starts with him dreaming away a nuclear apocalypse, and therefore saving himself and most of humanity. So it's not him lying on the ground dying and all that in his head. It's him slowly doing more and more and more and more things, and then in the end, they want to cure him, and by doing that, they're going to have him dream that he could never change dreams, which would take him all the way back, and then they have to fight the kind of mad therapist at the end, who is just all the realities are crashing in on each other. What used to be, what he dreamed. It's crazy. It's a really good time, and it sounds like the movie did a good job of dealing with that. I actually have the DVD release. Yeah, here's my copy of the PBS version of the Lath of Heaven. I'm going to give it a watch because it sounds like it really, truly follows the novel wonderfully. I know that Ursula K. Le Guin was happy with this one, and not very happy. Sorry, my cat's meowing. And not very happy with the more recent redo of it. On that same note, I wanted to talk about Inception a little bit. Jason made a video talking about how much he kind of dislikes Inception. It's his unpopular opinion. We all have them. I rewatched it right before he did, and I enjoyed it, although I found myself similar to him, wondering why they were making rules that they were immediately breaking. And I have a tendency to agree with Jason's interpretation of the film, although I wasn't that hard on it. I was thoroughly entertained throughout my rewatch of the movie. So in that sense, I think it's a good movie, and I'm not very hard on movies. But I do want to say that I will be adding it to the dream machine trope or subgenre that this channel's been chasing down. I think it absolutely deserves a place at the table. Even though I might not like all the choices he made, the plot points or it fits all the criteria for being in the Dream Machine subcategory. So, and I would put it in the second layer, just because they're using it for espionage instead of therapy. If you're wondering about that, go watch the video of the sci-fi reading list you got to try. Speaking on that same note, I ordered one of you commenters brought up the fact that the anime that everybody's been recommending to me called Paprika is actually based on a Japanese science fiction novel. So I chased that down, and I have a copy of that coming in the mail, the novel. I'm going to read the novel before I watch the anime, and it's by Yasutaka Tsutsui, and I don't know if I said his last name right. That's the best I can do, sorry. It seems like it fits right into our subgenre, so I'm really looking forward to that, and thank you to whoever let me know that it was based on a novel. I really appreciate that. Last, I want to do a quick one-book haul. This was the coolest thing I found at estate sales recently. It's called A Very Large Array, New Mexico Science Fiction and Fantasy. It's edited by Melinda M. Snodgrass. So, the title of this is very cool because the VLA, or Very Large Array, is just outside of Socorro, New Mexico. And it is the place you see in all the science fiction movies where all the satellites... There's a ton of them in this field, and all the satellites turn at the same time. It featured heavily in the movie Contact. Yeah, that's called the VLA, the Very Large Array, and that is here in New Mexico, and it's used for all kinds of sciences, including looking for alien transmissions in space. It's awesome. I've gone there many times throughout my life, when I was a young man to recently taking my daughter there, and it is a lot of fun. So I was really happy to see a book with such a perfect title for New Mexico science fiction. And this has a bunch of stories by science fiction writers that are connected to New Mexico. And of course, the ones I knew were going to be in here were Roger Zelazny and Jack Williamson. Both of those writers are connected to New Mexico. Roger Zelazny lived in New Mexico for most of the end of his life, and was really good friends with George R.R. Martin. And it does include Roger Zelazny, For a Breath I Tarry, they put in here, and Jack Williamson, Jamboree is the next one. But it also includes Fred Saberhagen. I have no idea how Fred Saberhagen connects to New Mexico. That's something I'm going to look into. Of course, it has George R.R. Martin, who lives here still up in Santa Fe. Stephen R. Donaldson, no idea how he connects to New Mexico. But the cool thing is when I found this copy and I bought a whole sci-fi lot. But this one, when I opened it, it seems like whoever owned this before took it around and was getting signatures all over it. And that was absolutely incredible to open up and see. And in it we have Melinda Snodgrass that I can see, Fred Saberhagen right here. And these are all signed to Becky. That must have been the person that was going around and getting all these signatures. Here's Roger Zelazny. Yeah, I think those are the really famous ones. Fred Saberhagen and Roger Zelazny. I don't see George R.R. Martin's signature here, although I do have it in a Game of Thrones book. But yeah, I thought that was super cool, and I love the concept of all these people being connected to New Mexico. Some of them, specifically Fred Saberhagen, I'm going to have to look up and see how he connects to New Mexico. All right, last but not least, I wanted to talk about comments. I'm actually going to do a couple of comments of the week this week. The one that I wanted to use was on my brother Jason's video of Inception. And right when he put that out, people were either, yeah, I totally hate that movie, we agree with you, or, oh my gosh, can't believe you're talking bad about a movie we love. And Dixon778 posted, I prefer your brother. Just kidding. And that I found to be the best comment of the week, but my brother wasn't into it for some odd reason. So, no. I wanted to talk a little bit about the concept of comedy in the comments, which has happened every once in a while. You guys are funny, and there's been a couple of comments throughout the life of this channel that have really made me laugh. And a couple of them came in, or I read them while my buddy was here, and they made him laugh as well. So I just wanted to call out a couple of these comments that I found very funny, that one included. And the one that I want to go back to, this one was actually quite a while ago, and it's by Start Complaining, is the Start Complaining 9781 is the commenter. And when I first saw this, I was nervous right away because I'm sorry, this is on Jason's video talking about the movie version, the John Carpenter movie version of The Thing. And of course, Jason throughout the video is talking about The Thing. I Start Complaining said, usually I love your reviews, and I was like, but in this one you articulated yourself very unspecifically. You always said stuff like, The Thing tipped me off. The Thing proved that John Carpenter was capable. The Thing was way ahead, etc. Like, what exactly are we talking about? Whose thing? And that, to me, was absolutely hilarious. And the first time I read through it, I was like, okay, this guy has to get that The Thing is not vague language, that he's talking about the monster or the film. And of course, it was a joke, and it was absolutely hilarious, and I really laughed at that one. And then last night, I got a really strange set of comments that I really enjoyed. This is on my Roger Zelazny Dream Master video, my biggest video. And somebody named Louis V. Loves Buckets 1228 posted, "I love you too." And I saw this comment and I was like, what? And my buddy was here and he says, did you say I love you in that movie or that video you made? And I was like, no, I don't think so. And then we looked underneath and Louis V. Buckets had replied to himself and said, "Oh my God, really?" Like he was super excited that somebody says love you too. And then somebody underneath that said, "Bruh, you can't reply to yourself." And we were like, oh my God. So Lewis said, "I love you too." And then said, "Oh my God, really?" And then somebody responded, "Bro, you can't reply to yourself." And then we looked over and realized that even that was Louis V. Loves Buckets telling himself that he couldn't reply to himself. It was late at night. We were watching shows. We saw that comment and we laughed. That was hilarious and weird and random. I don't get it at all, but it is funny. So thank you for those silly comments from everyone. And that is it for this channel update. I'm sorry everything got so busy. We'll be back to kind of our normal schedule soon. Next week you can expect some surprises from me. I don't know what I'm doing yet. You can get the Philip K. Dick story from Jason, and he'll be talking about Star Wars The Acolyte. All right, if you watch this to the end, thank you very much. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe, because we'll be making a lot more in the future. Thank you very much.